I prefer the one on the left because I think by having the two images, two bits of film going at the same time, they're more clearly linked. And it creates sort of a suspense, I think, because you know that someone's coming to the door, someone's sort of oblivious to that until he actually knocks on the door and you link them. Whereas this one, you're just chopping from one thing to the other, and I don't think it flows very well. On this one, I also like the fact you can't hear the walking, and you can only hear the person in the kitchen. So you can see someone walking outside, but you can only hear the sounds from the kitchen. So that's obviously where it's going, because the focus is on the right side, but you're aware that something's about to happen. There's going to be a change in narrative, an event. Whereas this one, I could be knocking on any door. I wouldn't necessarily link it. It's a well-used technique, isn't it? Like the split screen, and maybe it could sometimes come across as being a little cheesy or overdone. I'd definitely watch the one on the left with the split screen and the dual narrative sort of thing. I prefer that to the one on the right. I find the one on the right difficult to watch, and it doesn't hold my attention.
To be honest, with that one and the one where you've just cut between the two, it seems like there's sort of more interplay between both of them rather than that one. It's just like two things are happening at random times. And that one, I don't know, apart from the smiling, it seems a bit sinister, I thought. The way like Simon's going towards James and James is doing something really mundane. So I think it's got sort of a different, you can read it differently, it's got a different feel to it. Whereas that one seems like they're leading completely separate lives. There's sort of an uncanny feeling about it, I think, the way it cuts between the two. But that one, I don't know, there's something about split screen as well that it's harder to engage with it, I think. Because obviously your attention's constantly flitting between the two.
In terms of the split screen thing, I think the first one's harder to watch because you can't take in both images at the same time, but you would probably want to watch it again so you could see what you didn't see before. I think the second one is easier to watch.
I think the first one where there was something happening side by side, I found it more interesting because I don't think there was a lot going on in the second one, and there was just clips of pretty much Simon walking and then James staring, and it was more interesting to see them together as one thing.
Yeah, I thought they were really good. I like a nice little bit of story. I thought the one on the left was, I'd say I probably preferred it to one on the right, just because of the fact that it's like split screen and it's not, you know, you could, even though there's like quite a lot going on in it, you can sort of, because it flows quite well, you can follow both stories at the same time. It's sort of like more appealing to watch. I think because of the one on the right, because it cut between like the story, it sort of made it a bit harder to follow.
I found the first one, watching it, harder because I didn't know what to watch, side to watch more. But then it slowly came together that they were both involved with each other. With the second one, it's more obvious that they're gonna meet, if you like, because it's the way it's edited together. You'd miss more things that happen in the first one, and so you might want to watch it again, and then you would notice things that you didn't notice the first time.
I think like it's obviously visually more inspiring to look at because you've got, like, two things going on at the same time, and so you're inundated on with information. So you actually visually your intention's going to be more focused on what's going on than if you've just watching a single screen. And it's kind of references to cross lines and things like that you have in television shows. In terms of narrative, the actual story isn't really that complex, so I think you kind of get a bit confused when you watch the split screen one compared to that one, because you're not really sure how these two things are linking up, you know, and at the end obviously that comes clear, but as it's rolling, you're kind of like, where is it going? And I suppose it's kind of, you know, you would use it more in a sort of, in a different situation, like if you had like a conversation on a telephone line or something, like either end, you know, where it sort of they would link in better, but it's definitely more sort of visually interesting and takes people's attention like more. If I had to watch one again, it would be the split screen one, because it's visually more, there's more going on, so the information, you know, you sort of, your attention spans more, you know, your attention's on it more, and it's like, yeah.
I found the one on the left annoying. Because you don't know, I want to look at both of them at the same time. I want to see what Simon's doing and what James is doing, but you can't do it at the same time, you have to keep flicking, and it's annoying. That's a lot easier to watch. I found myself getting slightly, well, not annoyed, but slightly just a bit annoying, having to keep flicking between the two. It's two totally contrasting things that didn't really go together. So that, yeah, it's just a lot easier to watch the other one.
I thought they were quite good. I thought that the one with the split screen was a bit harder to watch the first time round, because you were concentrating on two different stories happening at the same time. However, if you watched it at different times, it might be better to watch, because you might get something different each time, because you could concentrate more on one story than the other.